Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Friday, February 20th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps. We're actually trading lower, 0.07% this morning. We were higher earlier in the day, earlier in the session. Then we turned lower, and now we're still lower, but not as bad as it was earlier this morning. Before the opening bell, we got some key economic data coming out. You got the GDP data and the PCE data are both scheduled. Both are closely watched for, ideas on, growth momentum, inflation trends, and that's going to be the key this morning, these two reports. Word is that the Trump administration is considering limited airstrikes on Iran as part of his efforts to pressure Iran into a nuclear agreement. Yesterday, markets heard from Minneapolis Fed Bank President Neil Kashkari, and he criticized those recent comments from economic advisor Kevin Hassett, suggesting that the remarks really reflect a broader political pressure on the Federal Reserve as they try to keep the Fed under their thumb. It's not surprising. You got to remember that all of the other past Fed Bank presidents have really been critical of this, attempt to kind of politicize the Fed. On the earnings front, we got GH, LYV, and TXRH, Texas Roadhouse. They're all trading higher after earnings. AKAM, Akami, and Copart CPRT are trading lower. On Monday, you got earnings from Freshpet, Awesome Therapeutics, and Domino's Pizza. They're all scheduled to report. Okay, let's take a look over at Europe and see what's going on in Germany right now. We're showing the DAX trading higher by 36 points or 0.15%. It was up over 0.3%, but we are still seeing gains in autos and defense stocks. London, the FTSE's higher by 0.48%. Retail sales recorded their fastest growth in 20 months at the start of the year, and they came in well ahead of expectations. In Paris, the CAC is up 63 points or 0.75% with gains in luxury stocks. Then we're looking over at Asia last night, and we did see some negative action going on there. The Nikkei fell 1.12% with weakness in banks and tech stocks. Hong Kong reopened. The Hang Seng reopened. It finished lower by 1.10%. With weakness in consumer and technology shares. China remains closed. Then we're looking at oil, and oil this morning is trading. It's ebbing lower. It's down. WTI is at $66.23, down 0.3%, whereas in Brent's at $71.37, down 0.4%. Realistically, we've had this dramatic spike in oil prices, up about 5% this week. And they're really trading at 6 months high, which is being supported by the geopolitical issues going on. That's adding a risk premium into oil. And then also yesterday, the EIA reported a drop of 9 million barrels for last week in its inventory report. That's bullish for oil prices. Okay, now we're going to turn the page and we're going to look over at earnings. And, Western Union came out this morning. They beat by 2 cents. It was done on lower revenue. The stock's down 1.8% this morning. Upcoming, we got some interesting ones. We got Awesome Therapeutics. They're looking for a loss of 70 cents when they report, but the expected move is 8.61%. Then there's Domino's Pizza, DPZ, David Paul Zebra. Their EPS is $5.36, and the expected move here is 8.79% when they release. In terms of economic reports today, you get the GDP and the PCE coming out today. They're both being released at 8:30 a.m. At 9:45 a.m., you get the composite flash PMIs coming out. Then at 10 a.m., we get the University of Michigan consumer sentiment data. At 9:45, we're going to hear from Atlanta Fed Bank President Raphael Bostic. And then at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to hear from St. Louis Fed Bank President Alberto Muslam. Okay, we're going to turn the page and we're going to look at the markets real quick. And, it really does look like we're going to have a negative opening. I'm looking at the Google's showing some slight gains. Amazon's higher, but everything else is trading lower. So I don't think we'll have a positive opening, but that could still turn. Apple, down about 0.3%. The West Virginia's Attorney General filed a lawsuit against Apple, alleging their iCloud allows for, X-rated children material out there. That's not good. Amazon, AMZN, they surpassed Walmart as the world's largest company by sales. Meta, they cut their equity-based awards for most employees. That's not good. That's not probably a bad idea. Tesla, they unveiled cheaper Cybertruck variant. Looking at Dow Jones 30 stocks, so we got to talk about Boeing. That report on the Starliner, NASA's report on the Starliner mission came out, and it was okay on the hardware. They didn't really talk about the engineering. It was really critical on the leadership, though. They didn't like the leadership, and two organizations don't always work well together, and that's really what apparently caused some of the issues here. J.P. Morgan, they're calling Trump's lawsuit fraudulent and looks to have it moved to federal court. I know Trump's targeting J.P. Morgan, but you got to remember, J.P. Morgan wasn't alone. No bank was going to lend to him because of the indictments that he was under. They don't want to be dealing with transactions when a company's weak, and the Trump administration, is particularly focused on J.P. Morgan, but I think Deutsche Bank was the only one that was willing to do business with him at that time. In terms of guidance news, Western Union sees full year 2026 adjusted EPS coming in at $1.75 to $1.85. Street estimates $1.79, right in the middle. Okay. ED, Consolidated Edison, sees full year 2026 EPS coming in $6 to $6.20. Street estimate is $6.01. That's kind of an uptick. Economy is trading lower. It's down about 8% this morning, but the report wasn't horrible. You look at the projections, for 2026, and they're projecting EPS of $6.20 to $7.20, where the street has it at $7.34. But if you look at the revenue side, they're also predicting revenue of $4.4 billion to $4.55 billion, whereas the street estimates at $4.42 billion. So I don't think it deserves to be down this much this morning, but we'll have to wait and see if it turns. In terms of shareholders meetings, EXAS, Exact Sciences, Edward, X-Ray, Apple, Sam, they're going to be holding a shareholders meeting today. Starts at 11 a.m. All right, let's move on to our pick of the day, which is Freshpet, ticker FRPT. Frank, Richard, Paul, Tom. Earnings are Monday morning. EPS is 43 cents. Expected move is 15.21%. Thursday's call volume was kind of muted, 80 on the call side, 73 on the put side. Open interest, 10,595 on the call side, 8,128 on the put side. Rather even, but the brokers are really positive on the stock. They've been raising price targets. For me, I want to get in the stock 73.20. That's kind of my pick of the day, and I'll take the 1% if I grab it today. Freshpet, FRPT, 73.20 is what I'm looking for. Okay, now we're going to move on, and we're going to look at the stocks making news this morning. Let's see if we get anything hot. Trump calls it democratic shutdown costing the U.S. at least 2 points in GDP. Well, you could always negotiate with them. Costco and other retailers are on watch as the ruling for the legitimacy of the Trump tariffs could happen today. The Supreme Court meets at 10 a.m. and announcements expected after the market closes. Apple up in ticker APP. They're trading higher this morning as the ad platform intends on building its own social media platform. Google, a former employee from Iran, is accused of stealing Pixel trade secrets. We got NVIDIA's earnings coming out next week. Dollar's on track for its largest weekly gain since October. That's all I'm seeing this morning. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about yesterday's pick of the day, which was Akami, ticker AKAM. I mean, listen, look at it. The stock opened up at 108.25, and then it fell. It fell to 107. Now, I was saying 107.50, so it definitely hit the 107.50 area. And then it rallied. It rallied and hit a high at 109.77. There's your 1%, and it closed at 109.59. So, yeah, the 1% was there. Now, the earnings weren't totally positive. Stock's trading lower this morning, but that 1% was definitely there yesterday, and that's our goal. So, AKAM was a win yesterday. All right, traders, that concludes today's Trade Talk podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.